Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome to part two of Leesha and Nathan's story.
Yes, we heard about how they met. We heard about crazy stories at the hockey rink. We heard about getting married. We heard about buying a house. We heard about two amazing little girls. And then we started to hear about Nathan's struggle with.
Guillain-Barre Syndrome. It's something I haven't heard of. GBS. So hopefully I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah, we had never heard of it until Leisha and Nathan. And we did get a little preview. We went on a retreat with them a few months ago, so we heard part of their story.
Yeah.
But until we recorded this, we hadn't even heard the whole story.
And how scary the disease is.
Absolutely. So, as Leisha said, it gets worse before it gets better. So, if you have not heard the first part, please go back on YouTube. You can watch it, you can listen to it here, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever. But you don't want to miss part one or part two of Leisha and Nathan's story.
And you were like, is anybody else having a really hard time, like, standing up? Like, are you guys really sore?
So I texted them saying, are you guys sore? Do your legs feel like they're pins and needles? Texted back, no, we're just muscle soreness. I'm going, that's weird. I woke up, went to work, normal day. Everything from my waist down was pins and needles. I was walking and it was all pins and needles.
That was on Monday.
It was on Monday. My fingertips were cold and they were tingly. So I kept telling Leisha, I'm like, something's not right. I'm like, I must have pinched a nerve, did something really bad in my back. Go home, relax, go to bed early. Tuesday, I wake up, get ready like another normal day, get out of bed, and I just collapsed. Wake up, or I get back out of bed, she wakes up, and I go, I can't feel my legs. So I just go back into bed. I'm like, just
he just crawled back into
nothing
bed.
Big.
And,
Perfectly normal.
yeah.
So it's his family.
And Leisha's mom works for a back and spine surgeon.
Okay.
She called her mom and said, hey, this is what's going on. What do I do?
He was in surgery that day,
Yeah,
so we couldn't take him to the office. I had to drive him to the hospital where he was actually doing surgery of that day for him to be evaluated. But we drove there. Actually, before that, you couldn't stand up, so he had to crawl out of bed and crawl down the stairs. And at this point, my kids are young, so I was like, I can't sit with you at the hospital with a baby. And
you called your dad.
I called my dad. My dad was like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. So I'm like, Nate can't walk. He's like, well, what do you mean? So like it was very like weird. So I remember my dad came and Nate couldn't stand up to like walk to the car. So he had to like crawl down like our front steps and then down our patio, like front porch steps. And then we both had to pick him up.
And I had to drag my feet every step. I had to drag my leg and kind of physically my entire body lift my leg up, and using them as my feet. Yeah. And my crutches got to the car. And then at that point went to Kenmore Mercy, and I was calling her, letting her know, like giving her updates constantly.
Yeah, this was Tuesday at this point.
Finally went to the hospital, filled out a bunch of paperwork, got into her room, and immediately the doctor at that point got MRIs, X-rays, everything like that done. And then I don't know, I think it was after all these tests were done, I think I had, what was it? The next couple days I had a spinal tap done.
I had a spinal tap, I think, on Wednesday. And they were testing for like an array of things like Lyme disease and, asking us a bunch of questions. I'm like, well, we went camping, nothing like weird. Like, have you been sick recently? And we're like, yeah, now that you mention it, like we had food poisoning. And when they did the spinal tap, they were looking for the proteins to come back high or something like that, because it would then confirm that he had what's called Guillain-Barre Syndrome, GBS for short. And it did come back positive, and they immediately started him on, it was like an immunotherapy. And it was like so many vials after so many days of a drip. And they started him on that right away. And they said, just so you know, so this stuff gets worse before it gets better. So it's like in your head, like, okay, but we had no idea,
Yeah.
What you were about to face.
the vastness of like what this actually was. And nor had I ever heard of this before this day.
Right.
So, I'm home with the kids, and I think I remember Thursday, he was still able to like text me, but it was very gibberish. Like,
So when I was trying to call her and text her at that point, I couldn't feel anything from my upper chest down. And I had very limited motions or movement in my arms. So as I'm trying to text, my fingers were just going, they were just blah. And so I was, instead of texting, I was calling, but I was only able to use Siri. And I had to lift my hand up to press on the speaker button to talk. And it got to a certain point where no more phone usage for me. I started moving, or I started losing movement in my arms at that point. And on Thursday,
this was on Friday, then at this point, my family had really kind of like come together, and your family too were very helpful with like, we're going to take the kids on this day. So, cause they only had certain visiting hours. So like at this time, I'm going to take this day to watch the kids. I'm going to take this day to watch the kids so that you can go sit with him, and so I can figure out what's going on. So I'm getting the kids ready in the car to take to one of my parents' house, and I get a phone call from the hospital, and they're like, Mrs. LaBarbara, we just want to let you know that, your husband is no longer able to breathe on his own, and we have to ventilate him. We just need to let you know what's happening. And I'm like, okay, it's one of those things where you just act. You don't have time to like react on it. So I remember just saying, can I talk to him quick? And I just let him know, I think I let you know. I was like, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And I think we prayed quick. And then I hung up, and then I called my dad. I think the kids were going to my dad's, and I dropped him off, and they're like, do whatever you got to do. And he let the rest of the family know. Cause at that point I'm just like, I don't have time to update everyone. And, I get to the hospital. He was already in ICU, and he was on a ventilator. And then that's kind of where it really started.
That's crazy. Like, just married. Not long, 2 little ones, and everything changes.
Yeah. That's like those defining moments where it's before or after, right? Before you got sick or after. Now, is that something that's hereditary or?
No, it's not. I can tell you all things GBS at this point.
Yeah.
It's not hereditary. It is caused from like a viral or bacterial infection.
Okay.
It seems more common nowadays. But because we made sure, like, are the kids going to get this? Am I going to get this? But no, it was just like this weird fluke thing. We were checking to see if he had an autoimmune disease. He doesn't. So it was like one of those really weird things that it's just, he got it.
Yeah.
And
there's no chance of it coming back. It's like,
there is.
There is.
Yes.
There's, what was it, a 1% or 4% chance that it can come back. And basically the 4% chance would be me having to relive what I went through almost 3 years ago.
Wow.
And note too, GBS is not always as bad as what he had. Everybody is affected differently. What it does, I should have said this, it attacks your nerves that link to your muscles that shut your muscles down. Because it all intertwines. The human body's awesome. But in his case, he had it head to toe. Like, it affected his lungs.
Wow.
His eyes, even blinking, like he couldn't even like close his eyes all the way when he was sleeping. I'm trying to think of everything. Some people only get it their legs.
Well, it was weird when he was telling it. It was like you could see it progressing, up his body and everything.
Yeah.
So
at this point, what was your experience, Nate, in the hospital? What was your fear? What kept you going? How long were you there?
So I was there for a total of 2 months. What I physically remember in the beginning was I was absolutely terrified. Had no idea what was going on. They had no idea what it was. Leesha was my voice, so for her saying everything today, that's what. Because I don't remember a thing.
I know. I promise I'm not speaking for him.
There's a lot of things that I don't remember. I know what GBS is. I remember how I got it. But once it got to me being in the hospital and it progressing really bad, my memory is completely gone.
And that's probably a good thing, though. You know what I mean? That you don't.
I have some memories of it. But a lot of it was just terrifying, knowing that, like, am I dying? Am I going to see Leesha and the girls again? Am I going, what's happening? How long am I going to, how long am I going to have the ventilator in for? How long am I going to be paralyzed for? Because I was paralyzed head to toe. I had no movement, like Leesha said. And it was hard. It was really hard. I was in a hospital room by myself. Only had visitors, her family, my mom would come.
Sisters from the church would come.
And there was, I would remember opening my eyes and seeing a person there, and then closing them, and that was it. And the person there, they could have been there, they could have not been there. I couldn't tell you because I don't remember. So there was a lot of. It's kind of nice, like Kevin, like you said, like not remembering a lot of it. But I remember Leesha always being by my side, 24/7, 7 days a week, always being by my side.
There was a point when, I was there every single day.
Yeah.
Right.
So there was a point where, after a while, even the security guards were like, we see you a lot, which is very odd, you think, for a security guard in a hospital to ask.
Right.
But it was very funny because I ended up getting to say, my husband's up there in ICU.
Yeah.
And one of the doctors, like one of the head doctors in ICU was like, you can come anytime you want. He's like, this doesn't apply in this case. And he's like, whatever works for your family, it is okay. So I was coming I think at like 11 a.m. to like 6 p.m. And it just worked like that.
Yeah.
But we were very, very blessed in that way because I was making sure, like he said, like I was his voice.
Yes.
Like I knew that like he needed his glasses on. I'm like, I don't even know if you had your contacts in when you went to the hospital.
I took my contacts out after I started losing function in my hands. I took them out, threw them out. I was like, I can't use these.
Right.
She brought me my glasses and I kept my glasses on for almost 2 months.
It took a while though. Like, I was like, he can't see. It's like the nurses are standing. I'm like, he doesn't see you. And even I remember writing up a whiteboard with like ABC on it, on the whole alphabet. And we would go through with a marker and like spell out like what he wanted to try to say. And then I drew up like a body, like a little stick figure body. And I was like, what hurts or like something that like after a while when he could kind of like communicate a little bit more. Cause he was on a lot of medication to keep that sedation. So he felt comfortable.
Right.
So it was just basically like making sure that, don't get me wrong. I think hospital staff's like ICU staff is wonderful, but like, I want to make sure that, as you should with your own family, that everything is going how it's supposed to go and he's being treated right. And
that you're his advocate.
Yeah. So,
and I think that, like when you said about the security guards noticing, unfortunately today there's people that'll just, you're in the hospital, okay. And even sometimes with husbands and wives that, especially if you got little kids and stuff, that's hard.
Yeah,
you have to put in the effort every day, and that is a labor of love.
Yeah.
And love is an action. It's not just, I love you, I feel like I love you, whatever. Yeah, those feelings are there sometimes. There's emotions and stuff, but it is, we put forth that. We wake up in the morning and decide to do that. And unfortunately today, a lot of people, when it gets hard, it's like, that's not worth the effort. And it's like, they're taking care of him. Whereas on the other side of it, you see that, okay, well, they're taking care of him, but there's the next level. Like, what can I do to help him? What can I do?
Yeah. And I think it was just like one of those things that, the Lord takes over in that moment. And he truly gave me that peace where you just take it and you roll with it. So like anything that seemed maybe scary, like sometimes his heart rate was like wild, but like looking back, I'm like, I wasn't even scared.
Yeah.
Like I knew that he was going to come home.
Yeah.
I knew that, he was going to be fully recovered and he was going to walk out of that hospital room and he was going to come home to me and the kids. And I know like a lot of people afterwards would ask me like, how did you do it? Like we talk about it, we don't know what we would do if that happened to our spouse. I'm like, you do it. You made a vow to your spouse
in sickness and in
health. And I remember one day we had a really bad day, you and I always cry when I say this, so just bear with me. But one day like we weren't communicating well, and I say communicating, he was on a ventilator.
Right.
So it was like I was frustrated that I couldn't understand what he wanted. He was frustrated that it wasn't being, reciprocated. And I remember leaving and I had swapped with your mom and I had left and I'm driving home and I just felt horrible. Like I left in that like anger state, like so frustrated. And I remember I FaceTimed his mom and I said, can I talk to him? And I said, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I said, on October 13th, 2018, I made a vow in sickness and in health. And I said, I'll never leave you. And I said, I'll flip tables for you. Like, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that your voice is heard. Because I made that vow to you on that day, and I will not go against that. And it was like from that point on, it was like, we're in this together. This is hard. It's not an easy thing. We didn't sign up for this. But it made it real in that moment. Like, that's what that means. Are you ready to commit to a spouse, like in sickness and in health? No matter what that looks like.
Yeah. So that vow is definitely made real.
Yes. And, unfortunately we had to experience that firsthand, but it made it like, this is what marriage is. You're there for each other through thick and thin,
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big part of it, that when you go into marriage, you may have some idea of what it is and everything. And, Kristen was talking about that, Jesus said there will be trials. And then James goes on to say, count them as blessings when trials come, because that's when we learn who we are.
Absolutely.
That's when, marriage is what refines us. It's what molds us for heaven into the next life. It's what forms us into being like Jesus. And as it's hard, it's those hard things that just make us who we are, that take us to that next level, that make that commitment to one another, so real.
And that make you the speakers of a ministry to be able to help others.
Absolutely.
Other people that are going through things. What do you think is the main thing you each drew your strength from?
Oh, I mean, even the whole time, like we were sitting there, like I would always play like the Psalms like on loud, so like even though he was sleeping, like he could hear it. I think that there was like so much that happened. I can't even remember. I just think like prayer was huge. Listening to worship music was huge. Having people come into your life in that moment that spoke life into you was huge. That really kept us going. And I think, what was that one point you said? There was a turning point for you.
So it was about 2.5, 3 weeks that I was on the ventilator. And I don't know if it was night or day. I don't know what time it was, but it was very, very quick for me to have that, that moment was that I was laying in the bed and I see over here on my right side, because I couldn't really move, so I kind of was just like in my peripheral, this figure. I didn't know if it was a real person. I didn't know who it was. And this person kind of having like the light on super low and just kind of glowing on him. There was like a glow. And all this person did was put his hand on my shoulder right here. And at that point, things, the switch flipped.
Yeah.
And it was, I got the ventilator out, I think within that week. I was moving a lot more, and I fought a lot. I had a lot of time to think, and there was a lot of time of praying that at one point I was like, to God, if you're going to take me, take me. Like, I cannot do this struggling. Like, I cannot see people around me struggling to know that I'm in this position and they cannot do anything.
Right.
If you're going to take me, just do it. And praying and praying constantly. And when that happened, that hand on my shoulder, that's when the turning point happened of me getting.
I mean, it was really fast. I remember like afterwards when he told me, I was like, I kept a journal every day. So I wrote down like, you know, this person visited you this day, or this day you moved your finger, like, so that, because, you know, he couldn't remember. So I wanted him to like look back on it and be like, oh, look at the progress that I had made.
Yes.
And I remember looking back and I was like, yeah, that's when you really started like moving a lot more. So it was like arms and like shoulders. And then the doctors told me, you know, when I was like away from his ear sight, they would tell me, you know, like, we're looking to get this ventilator out because we're seeing some progress. Because when you move your shoulders, I guess that it means that all your muscles going to your lungs are also being strengthened. Like there's some things happening there. So I remember they had moved him to another ICU room to be like across from the desk so they could like monitor it a little bit better. And one day I walked in and they're like, today's the day. And I took a video of the doctor coming in and saying, you know, we're going to take this out. But
And
you understand that it may not go well, because they were looking to do a tracheotomy. And he was so desperate. He wanted to do it so bad. I was like, I think that we should wait.
I wanted that ventilator out so bad. I was getting sores on my mouth. It was uncomfortable. They kept shaving this beautiful beard of mine. It was just like, it was awful. But it was the sores in my mouth. And once I started becoming more conscious, I was feeling the stuff in my mouth, the ventilator tube in my mouth, and feeling the things. And I kept telling Leesha on the whiteboard, get this thing out of me, get this thing out of me. And once they finally said,
when is this coming out?
Once they finally said, hey, today's the day, I was like, thank you, God. I am so excited. And they took it out, and I was just like, oh, I can not have that disruption in my mouth anymore. And it was
you had him for a little over 2 weeks. So yeah, I mean, you had to work at that point for getting your voice back. There's a lot of like, you know, gross stuff that comes with taking a ventilator out. So that had to get all like worked out. And then he had his feeding tube in. But even then, like the doctors were saying, you know, just so you know, this happened way faster than what we thought was going to happen. And we were like, yeah, we know, because we know how big our God is.
Absolutely.
Amen.
But it was fun because the nurses always said, they're like, this couple, like, there's something about you guys, you know, even to this day. I mean, we're almost 3 years out. And to this day, they're like, this is our, you know, favorite couple. Like, there's just something about these guys. So, like, you know, the Lord was with us, and he definitely shone through us in the whole thing. Even through when you got moved down to rehab.
Yeah. Rehab was...
It was tense.
It's a boot camp, let me tell you. It's a boot camp.
It was tense.
They don't give up on you. And me, I was swearing so bad at things because the pain was just excruciating.
So we'll tell them how it feels, you know, when you were getting all that bad. It's not like you were just in pain.
So when I was in the ICU, they would have to clean me, they move me, make sure I didn't have any bed sores.
Yeah.
And the lightest touch ran on my body, like a needle pain through my body. once I started getting the feeling back, when I finally got down to the rehab, it was pins and needles.
Yeah.
And it was like a tingling. So if you, your leg falls asleep, your arm falls asleep, and that, that coming back feeling,
Yeah.
that's what my entire body felt, but it never went away. So anytime I had to move, it was just excruciating. But the PT therapists and stuff there, they were absolutely amazing. They helped me through all this.
They were incredible.
Yeah.
They
and
worked so well with you.
It got to a certain point where they were having to find things for me to do because I was succeeding so well.
Amazing.
That they're like, well, let's try walking. Let's try going upstairs and this and that. And I was
Surpassing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they were amazed.
And I was still in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And even like today, I still have some issues going on that I just kind of forget because life has to go on. I can't, say, oh, I can't do this because XYZ. I have a full-time job. I have to take care of my wife, my kids. So I fight through the pain that I have. But in the hospital was definitely hard. And then once I finally got motion and the feeling back in my entire body, it was basically finding our new normal.
New normal.
Yeah.
I'll say this, that, like your story and everything, it is not typical for today for marriages and people. And like, when I think about how young you guys are compared to us, because we're old.
Not old.
Yeah, we are. But, like guys today, well, number one, for you to be the advocate to go, whatever, that's something that doesn't happen that much these days. And then like for Nate and even what he's doing today to say, you know what, I just need to do this and move on. We are a generation or generations here where we want easy. We don't want to put forth effort, whether it be in our marriage, our work, with our kids, with whatever it is.
So we
like
don't
we
get
just
blessings on
we just want the easy way.
Right.
We miss so much, like because we just walk away from it. It's easy. Oh, I don't feel good. Like with what you went through and stuff, I'm sure you could like, oh, I get disability, I got this, I got that, and I'm just going to sit and, you know what I mean? But like literally, that's the easy way out, and sit home and play video games or do whatever. Not challenge yourself.
The biggest lesson you each learned through that, and your biggest maybe blessing through it?
Well, first of all, we give all the glory to God because He absolutely delivered us from that. I can't even believe that we made mortgage payments. I mean, He's the sole provider, and suddenly that's gone. So we had just like the rally of people that had come to our aid, and like I'm talking like everything from like groceries to like I had to sell my car because I couldn't pay 2 car payments, and that was unheard of because it was a lease and it was like not time for it to go. And I actually got money back from it. So it was just one of those like, this could not happen without God.
Yeah.
But I think that if anything, like the lesson here is just you can do anything together as a couple as long as God's in the middle of it.
Yes.
I mean, you're invincible.
And I think that's a big part that we miss, that lots of people miss, what you just said, with God in the middle.
Right.
Because
together.
Together, because so many times, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to do this. And the wife's like, well, I'm going to take care of the kids and I'm going to do this. And we're, as you go on, you're like just going on separate paths. Things can be good. You can be making money. You can be raising your kids and everything. But there's going to come a time when it's like you're like this and your marriage is gone, or it's severely hurt. And
you have a hurdle to overcome, and you can't.
Yeah, because you're just working towards those things. But if you have God, if you have Jesus, then you're working towards the same thing. And He is helping you along the way. Like everything you said, like with Nate in the hospital, and then your family would watch the girls and Nate's mom would watch the girls, and it just like
That's amazing.
everything falls into
Everything.
place
I
because he
mean-
orchestrates it, not us.
Yeah. I mean, even the way, like, how old the kids were.
Mhm.
They don't remember their dad being in the hospital.
Yeah.
You know, they'll see pictures, but, like, they won't remember that. You know, they don't remember that, like, mommy wasn't there
Right.
for a large lump sum.
Yeah.
Or that they missed a lot of, like, it was summer times.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get to take them to do all the fun things that I wanted to do. But
Mhm.
as he kept progressing, I was able to kind of take a step back the
Yeah.
more he could speak for himself, especially in rehab.
Yeah.
I was able to kind of like, well, I'll take the girls to the zoo, you know, or I don't know what we would do, go to ice cream or something. But it was huge. But like our friends and family and strangers were just like, it was so orchestrated.
Yeah.
You know, we were just so blessed to have what we had. And then fast forward, he came home and we went on vacation like
A week
3
later.
days after.
Oh, jeez.
Let's go.
But it worked out so well. You know, we just made sure he got the clearance to fly.
Mhm.
And we did. We went to Florida and we stayed there for a week. And, you know, we had to push him in a wheelchair around hot Florida, but it was, no, it was fine. And the kids, I think, will remember that
Yeah.
with pictures and stuff. And if they don't, it's great,
Yeah.
you know, but they'll always know that their daddy was a fighter and their mommy advocated for him and she was just as strong as he was. And, in that moment, though, the lesson too was like, I think you agree when we say we learned that you can't keep doing the same thing you've been doing when you go through a life change like that.
Yeah.
So we both, I think, heard like the voice of God telling us that it was time to go.
Yeah.
And we don't know what that meant. I think we still don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But we did. We decided to put our house up for sale. And we had no idea where we were going to go. We actually thought we were going to go out of state. And
Yeah.
God said no.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we're still here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kevin keeps getting stuck
anywhere
in
but
Buffalo,
Buffalo.
too. And I honestly think that when you guys said we feel together, it's time to tell our story. You know, that's a big part of it.
Mhm.
And to just take that next step and to see who you can help and to be ready to be used by God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
we all have a unique story,
Oh, yeah.
but there's also someone who needs to hear that story, and I think we miss that a lot of times. We're like, oh, well, they'll talk to this person, or you know. And I will say this: when you invite God in to your relationship, to your marriage, two things. One, if you could do it on your own, you wouldn't need God. So that's like
Yeah.
in times like that. But the other thing, when you invite him into your story and to be part of it and to lead you and to follow, he will put people in your path who need to
Mhm.
hear your story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've touched a lot of people you don't even realize you've touched in that path and that journey that saw how you handled it. And so,
Absolutely.
And we
Yeah.
talk about that sometimes. We're like, you know, maybe it's not so much he wants us to tell our story. It's just maybe how like people watched us through it.
Absolutely.
And how we are still today after almost 3 years, you know, how we're working through those.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, you may not be speaking it, but they're watching it. And all the people, the doctors, the nurses, your family, all those people saw that.
And your community that walked you through it.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
they were also able to bless you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. As long as we just want, you know, God to be glorified through it. And as long as they can see Jesus through us, then we did our job.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If he wants to use us in other ways, well, we have no idea what we're going to do, but we're here for it.
Yeah.
We already sold and bought a house for him. So here
And-
we are.
And that's it, honestly. Like, if you just put that yes on the table, I mean, we have done it many times over the years and stuff like that. And that's when you say, you know what, God, I don't know, but whatever you got, wherever.
Well,
We're
I,
here.
for one, know that I am blessed to know you both
Yes.
and very grateful that God has placed you guys in our lives and that we get to do life together and have fun together. And
Yeah.
Like-
Like, it's amazing little girls.
Absolutely.
And
We love doing life with you.
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Anything else there?
I was going to ask him a couple fun questions.
Go
but-
for it.
Okay. All right. So you guys ready?
Don't drop the poodle off your lap
Are
there.
we ready?
Okay, Nate. if you could be any animal, what would you be?
I'm gonna say a bear
Why?
Good one.
because everyone's scared of bears.
You want to be
You want to be
scary?
scary?
Yeah, I would love to be left alone in the wild
Okay.
Nice.
and just eat fish. And I'll be happy.
And just
I mean, I was good with the bear. The reasoning, it's a little questionable, but okay.
all right, Leesha. What about you?
Oh, I feel like I would want to be a tiger.
Oh, that was close. That
A
was
lion or a tiger.
close.
The
I love
cat
tigers.
family. I think they're beautiful and they're, you look at them and they're strong. And I hope that's how I am portrayed.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. So Leesha, what is the weirdest thing that you've ever seen a stranger do?
No.
A stranger.
Oh, there's quite a few. I've seen somebody in an antique store like strip down, not like butt naked, but like put on like a scuba outfit, like just in the
What?
middle of
Are you serious?
Like, well, I mean, I guess if you're gonna buy an antique, you want to make sure.
I guess I'm gonna ask, what did they want an antique scuba suit?
Yeah, like
I'm thinking the thing like at Disney, the big Jacques Cousteau
Yeah, that's what I thought. No, not like
metal
that one, like
thing
the-
that you gotta like.
No, it was like the wetsuit.
Okay.
That's so funny.
That's awesome.
Do you-
Wow.
I mean,
that.
I have weird stories because I'm a plumber,
Yes.
but stories that are
Not to be shared.
yes, poop related and things that I've seen.
We will keep it.
Yes.
Yes. Leesha definitely likes keeping your stories more on the clean side.
Yes.
I don't even want to hear these stories. He just comes home and voluntarily tells me these.
All right. Nate, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Oh. Teleporting.
Yes, that's mine.
That is
100%. I know that's mine. I don't have to fly, and I can
Because
just
she
be
doesn't like to
anywhere.
fly.
So efficient too. Yeah.
And then I would always be on time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
Always.
No, you're
Yeah,
always late.
You would miss those car arguments that you get into with your
yes.
spouse.
Yes.
Because car arguments
car
are
arguments.
Those are
The backseat
So
driver.
rough.
over
Oh.
I think you're talking about you.
here. Yes.
Leesha, what's your superpower?
I would like to have like 8 arms.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
I could, well, like that comment, like I don't
You
have
would
them all the time.
Like
but
Go-Go
if I
Gadget
need them,
arms.
like I could do like breakfast over here and making eggs over here and
But
toast
you only
over
have
here.
one head.
You can make it work.
Well, you have lots of thoughts. I mean,
Also, you'd never find clothes,
Well, no, they would like go away.
but they still
Like,
have to
they-
pop out. Somewhere.
Yeah.
So you're undressing for your arms.
I didn't
In the
think that
antique
far
shop?
through. I just
She
was
just
like I could
thought that she
multitask
can
on
have-
different levels.
this is what she does to me. Like, I can have this dream, and it's like, well, what about this? I'm like, can I have my dream?
Yeah.
I want
I
8
didn't look
arms.
into it that far.
Yeah,
I
just
just want to get more stuff done.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a good one.
Nate, what is your most embarrassing public moment?
Oh.
Oh no.
My
I don't
most,
even know.
my most embarrassing public moment. I honestly don't. I have one,
Oh no.
but it's definitely not appropriate.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
I
So
don't know if I can think of one.
Marriage in the Buff After Dark.
I mean, I've been embarrassed in public many of times, but I don't know off the top of my head if I can.
I mean, I try to embarrass her almost every day when
That's
when
a
we
good
go.
husband. It's a good husband.
As one should. So, what do you guys have planned for New Year's celebration?
I think we were thinking about taking the girls to this. There's like this little kid celebration at like this like brewery. They're doing like a kids New Year's Eve party with like a magician or something.
Oh, fun.
Oh yeah, that's right. We are.
We're gonna do that, or if like for some reason, because plans with kids don't work out the way you want it to. So if that doesn't work out,
Might
we're
be
just
nap
gonna
time.
blow up
Yep.
a bunch of balloons, and I think we're gonna play one of those YouTube videos where they count down like
Aw.
early.
Yeah. Like, hey, look, it's
Hey,
on.
it's midnight. It's 9. Go to bed.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Right. What else? Anything else?
Whatever you got there.
Well,
honey.
thank you guys so much for joining us. We love you guys so much. Thank you for sharing your story. And you're welcome anytime to crash our party.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Fun.
It's
Yay.
you're in the dungeon.
And we're your first guests.
Yes.
How exciting.
It's so exciting.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm gonna have to call my people and tell them Jimmy Fallon lost out, man.
Yeah, they're going to be sad.
Yeah, it's
They're
okay.
going to be sad. We got them.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean,
We're going to need that in writing.
We're going to be famous now, Kristen. We're going to be famous.
Yes.
Because we had Nate. Absolutely.
Awesome.
The greatest.
All right, guys.
Thank you
so much. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy New Year. It's New Year when you see this. We forgot about that.
Yeah, it will be.
It will be New Year.
done.
Yes.
It'll be next year.
Happy
Like,
2025.
it's a superpower. We're like into the future.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye.
That was so great. I love them.
Yes, everyone, this is Rocket. This is our Snowbangle who is deciding
on getting on camera.
to be on camera today, even though he hates the camera. So bonus for you guys, because he normally hates being anywhere around a camera. But yeah, Leesha and Nathan's story, amazing. What a great story of grace and provision by God who just orchestrated everything. He put through that hard time, he put people in their lives to help take care of the kids and to help with Nathan's care, and just the timing was perfect in all of it. And I'm sure, from talking to Leesha and Nathan before and everything, like, it was a scary time, and it's hard to remain positive and faithful.
I mean, to
in
me,
times like that, because you are relying on God, but still you've got all these questions, these doubts, and you got people telling you, "Oh, it's not going to be good, or it's going to be a long road, or whatever." But then God just kept showing up in the entire story.
And to me, it's really a real life example of in sickness and in health. Like,
Absolutely.
no matter what, Leesha was there in sickness and in health. And I mean, you might think, oh, well, obviously, but it's really just a real life testament to that. And that's why I love the idea of having couples come on and tell their stories of overcoming, because we aren't all going to have the same story, but we can all learn from each other and be inspired by each other.
Absolutely. And it is like I remember Alicia saying she'd flip tables for him and stuff like that.
And you can see their love, like his adoration of her.
Every
so
time,
great.
Every time you're around them, that you just see it. But, it's one thing to say things like that. It's one thing to say, "Oh yeah, I love you. I'll do this for you," and everything. But when love comes down to that action, that it's like, "Oh, well, this is hard. I've got to take care of these two kids, and I've got to figure this out, and I've got to figure that out, and I got to come see you, and I got to help you communicate, and honestly, it gets old quickly, and lots of people just want to give up, and lots of people do give up. So it is great hearing stories like Leesha and Nathan that, you don't give up. You just keep doing it. God will provide the way. God will provide those things for you. He'll provide the means. You just got to show up every day in your marriage. And that's whatever you're facing.
And it's a covenant.
Absolutely.
So through the good times, the bad.
Till death do us part. Absolutely. And there's always going to be those things. There's going to be the ups and downs. Different seasons will be different things, but there will always be those things that we have to be working towards and overcoming.
Yeah.
So, guys, what a great, amazing story. Thank you, Leesha and Nathan, for sharing with us. We have another guest coming up in a couple weeks. Our friends Mike and Megan will be on. Next week should probably be just us, I believe.
Thursday will be
Thursday. Every Thursday, make sure you like. Please subscribe. And also, if you could comment, that would be great. We will see you next week. Marriage is About podcast. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much anywhere. Bye, guys. Have a great week. Happy New Year. Again.